Hello, I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and you are very welcome to this video here in my greenhouse, all about making some beautiful spring bulb and plant displays for pots. Now, normally if you follow the channel, you'll know that I do prefer to put things in the ground. I'm not really one for fussing over pots that need to be placed here and there and watered and fed more precisely, especially when it's to do with a seasonal display. But on this occasion I've succumbed and I've bought some tulip bulbs, I've bought some reticulated iris bulbs, and I have grown some wallflowers, which I'm all going to put together in a glorious set of spring pots. So imagine beautiful, deep coloured, scented wallflowers showing off pretty tulips to their best effect. And then you'll get a picture of what I'm attempting to do here. Okay, so let's get on with the video. Before I proceed with unboxing my bulbs and preparing my wallflowers for the pots, I just want to tell you a little bit about the weather we've been having here, because oh my goodness, it has been so unseasonal. On the positive side, we haven't had any frost so far, so dahlias, for example, in the garden are still in flower. Can you believe it? At the very end of November, well, sort of midway through November now. And on the downside, it has just bucketed rain every single day, torrential rain. Now, according to the weather forecasters, we're in a water dome, a heat dome at the moment, which has given rise to the unseasonal temperatures. But the rain is really getting a lot of us down. It's just non-stop. And it's the kind of rain where you step out in it. It's almost like, like a tropical hurricane or something, but without the heat. Anyway, to lift our spirits, why not plant some beautiful displays for pots in spring? Because I certainly don't want to go out in the garden and dig in the sopping wet soil. So I ordered a few bulbs because, you know, it's autumn. How could you have an autumn without a few tulips? And this is what I got. Now, if you follow the channel, you'll understand that normally I choose tulips that will come back year on year, whether they're Darwin hybrids, whether they're species tulips. And I've talked about that a lot. There are a whole load of other tulips that aren't reliably hardy, but they are fabulous. They look absolutely wonderful. And if I'm going to put something in a pot that I don't think will come back after a few years, then why not go the whole hog and choose something that is absolutely gorgeous, like this Rasta parrot. Now, parrot tulips, oh, that's a fantastic division. And when I was in Cookenhof earlier in the year, I saw this Rasta parrot on display, in flower and display, and it was just mouth-watering. So I'm going to put those in a pot. Fantastic orange and warm, wonderful, fantastic colours. And to go with them, I have chosen, so I've got, I think, like 10 or 20 Rasta parrots. And then Alexander Pushkin is the one that is going to accompany the parrot. And this is a kind of like a deeper kind of purpley, more subdued colour with a little bit of white in there. But when I saw the colours of these two, I thought that they would accompany each other very well. So they're going in pots as well. And, oh yeah, this one here, Slower. So this is a beautiful orange tulip, a Triumph tulip, and I think the Triumph tulips really are fantastic for giving a wonderful spring display. Their form, the way they hold themselves, everything about them is really very attractive. And this new variety, which is a sport off another more widely known one, just really caught my eye, and I thought these three together would be absolutely fabulous. And then, while I was in the neighbourhood, the bulb company that I bought from had an offer where you get your fourth thing for free. So I treated myself to some tulips that are very like the original Rembrandt tulips, the ones he used to paint with all the flamed and feathered designs on the tulip petals. I'm not sure this actually goes with the others, but I'm going to plant them all the same. So those are my tulips. I'm going to put one type of tulip in each pot, and I'm also going to plant up some pots of wallflowers. Now, I sowed a load of wallflowers from seed this year, and I've planted a good lot of them in the garden, but I still have a number in pots. And the reason for that is twofold. I guess I have been a victim of my success in that I have lots and lots of wallflowers, with the result that there isn't so much space to put so many wallflowers. And also, you have to bear in mind that I do have acidic soil, and wallflowers aren't really built for acidic soil. They're in the brassica family, so they prefer more neutral or even alkaline soil. So a great solution if you have that type of soil is to plant them in pots. And wallflowers like this one, this is a beautiful orange one. I've got red ones as well. They're fabulously scented, and they make brilliant companion plants for tulips. And I think I'll plant up the wallflowers first. But before I do that, there is a little something I neglected to do. And you can see that this wallflower is quite well advanced. It's called Fire King Glorious Orange Flowers. But in order to get bushier plants, what you need to do is to pinch out the growing tip when you have a minimum of 3 sets of leaves. These ones are a bit wimpy down there, but they definitely are sets of leaves. And hopefully this will grow now into a nice bushy plant that will look better than a spindly one. The first thing I need to do is to make up my mix. And wallflowers need a well-drained, moisture-retentive mix. And so do tulips for that matter. So I'm going to mix 3 parts potting compost with 1 part horticultural sand. If you don't have horticultural sand, you could use horticultural grit instead, or even perlite. This will just ensure that my plants have good drainage and won't kind of get waterlogged or too soggy. And if you want more information on how to pot up tulips, there is a video completely dedicated to that, but we're going to go through it here anyway again. Oh, and whoa! So here's my pot. My mix is all nicely mixed now at this stage, and I'm going to use these big pots and just cram them full of wallflowers so that they look fantastic, and just place them around with the tulips. So I'm going to put some mix in here at the bottom of the pot. Why not get the hands dirty? They're not going to stay clean. And I love this process. I think there's nothing nicer than potting up some tulips basically in the greenhouse in autumn. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. It kind of makes us think of spring and everything that's to come, etc., etc. Now, this is just going to contain just wallflowers, so I'm going to fill it quite high. And the variety of wallflower that I'm going to be putting in here is this one called Vulcan. And this is a red flowered wallflower, a fantastic thing, or so I'm led to believe. Just checking that I need to do any more pinching out. That one I forgot, and this one I actually left a tray to show you how to pinch them out. So that one's done. That's why they're not done. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, now I'm going to plant these about 6 inches apart, but what I'm going to do now is just take them out of their pots and see what kind of root system we've got on there. Look at that. That is one impressive root system. And yeah, so we're just going to pot these in here. So take them out of the pots. There we go. Nice root system. There we go. Now, wallflowers, of course, are an old cottage garden favourite, much loved and unfortunately not so grown these days. So, yeah, I'm going to single-handedly rectify that. Yes, I am. Okay, now these need to be placed about 6 inches apart, which I believe is going to be around that. I'm going to just put a little bit more underneath, just raise them up a slight bit. Of course, these will grow taller as well, so I don't need to worry about them being kind of like right down there in the pot and not visible. And just a little bit under here. There. And now I'm just going to backfill in between the plants. You should remember with wallflowers as well, not to be tempted to add fertilizer to your mix or even to feed them with a liquid fertilizer afterwards. This is a plant that thrives on neglect, and if you feed it, well, you know, you'll get lots of leafy growth and you won't get flowers, and there's no point in that, is there? Okay, just press these down a little bit. And we're ready to rock. And next up we have some tulips. And these pots here, which I happen to have, are just perfect for potting up tulips. So I just didn't want to leave them with nothing in them. They just had to have some tulips. And I'm going to use the variety Slough, which I'm opening now. Lovely firm tulips. And what I'm going to do here is place a mix at the base of the pot that's 3 times the height of the tulip, or roughly, because tulips, I mean, they do need a bit of an old root run to get their roots down. So that's about right. And now I'm going to place in my tulips. And with tulips that are in a pot, you can actually place them quite close together, even just a finger's width apart. So you can see there, they shouldn't be touching. And these are actually bigger tulips than I had last year, because if I were to place one in the middle, then they would be touching. So we're not going to do that. And here I'm breaking the rule of odds. You know the rule of odds? You're supposed to plant things in 3s, 5s and 7s, odd numbers. But now here I am planting 4 tulips in a pot. So you need to cover the tulips to 3 times their height, the same amount of soil that you had underneath. But leave enough of a space at the top of the pot that you're going to be able to water them properly. So I guess about 1 inch between the top of the pot and the surface of the soil. Cool, that's that one done. Next up with the next tulips, also the same variety, big tulips. 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get 5 in here. In fact, I can get 6 in here. That skin that comes off is called the tunic, and it's well, something that protects the bulb. So bulbs that have tunics are better able to deal with accidental damage than ones that don't. So you shouldn't take them off, but if they do come off, it's grand. Okay. Okay, so a little bit of a change of tack, and with the Rembrandt tulips, the ones that I thought wouldn't go with anything, I'm actually going to put them in the same pot as some of the wallflowers, because I think they should be fine with the red wallflowers, and I have lots of wallflowers. So we're going to do a kind of lasagna planting in here. And so again, just fill the pot. And here are my tulips. Oh my goodness, talk about disproportionate size. This one is absolutely massive, like it's been fed up on steroids. And the others are kind of normal size. Now in a pot this size, if you were filling it just with tulips, you could get a lot more than 5 in here. But I'm putting in wallflowers as well. And I'm going to space my tulips something like this, that they can come up in the spaces between the wallflowers. Now, of course, when you start filling this with earth and planting the wallflowers on top, it's very hard to work out where the tulips are, but they will find their way up. So the stems will weave a little bit around the perennials if placed in roughly the right position. So that should be good. Okay, so here we have the tulips in position, and now I'm going to cover them with my mix to, well, a good bit really, up until the point where I want to plant the wallflowers. And I'm just going to bear in mind that that point there where I put the bag, that's where the first wallflower should go. So now I take my first wallflower and unpot it, and these are dry, but they're going to get a good watering when I get these into their pots. So we'll put this in here where the paper bag was. Very scientific method altogether. So that's the first one, and I'm going to take that one as my guide and place the others about 6 inches apart. And hopefully I have not placed any on top of a tulip, but with a bit of luck, the tulips will weave their way around. Now, if you do plant something directly on top of a tulip, it will delay flowering. So I guess the end result could be that everything doesn't flower at the same time, which is unfortunate. And I can't wait for this to be up in spring. Can you imagine the beautiful scentedness of this? It's going to be fantastic. The root balls are quite dense on this, and I don't want the tulips to struggle to get through them. I need spaces between the root balls where the soil isn't very compacted for the tulips to come up. So here we go. Just backfill with the mix. That is ready for watering. Okay, the next thing I want to pot up is something that I bought specially to put in this fantastic pot. And look at that. So my daughter and her husband got this for me last Christmas, and it's got the name of the garden carved on it. It came from somewhere in England. I'm not exactly sure where, but I know it ended up costing more than they thought it would because there was some kind of import duty on it. But anyway, isn't it just wonderful? Douentza garden, and the lovely little kind of ring of decoration around, and the unglamorous gardener, which was a name I liked to go by when I started out on the channel, until you all started giving me such a hard time about it. I hope to do a question and answer video soon, and I'll address that among other things. Now, what am I going to plant in this pot? And I bought these fantastic reticulate irises called Frozen Planet. Now, a lot of people don't know about this type of iris. They tend to associate them with what we know as Dutch irises, which are nice enough in their own right, but they flower, I guess, around May time, a bit of a kind of addition to what else might be going May, June, in addition to what else is going on in the garden at that time. But the reticulate irises, they are really, really early flowering. You're talking February here, and I've made videos about them before. I absolutely love these babies. I love to see them coming up in spring at the front borders. And this particular variety called Frozen Planet, well, my friend had this list last year and I was so jealous I had to go out and get some myself. Now, I've made videos before about planting up reticulate irises, so I guess I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing all over again. But what we're doing here is putting some of this mix at the base of this gorgeous pot, and then I'm going to put the irises in. And these always remind me of my son as well, so. Now, because I'm planting these in a pot in the greenhouse, they're going to flower even earlier than they would normally if I left them outdoors. And the ones I put in a pot last year, I left that outdoors. But this one I'm going to keep in so I can enjoy them early on. And I think it's very important to have something to look forward to that you as the gardener can enjoy and look forward to. And obviously you're going to plant them with the pointy bit up and the basil plate, which has a hairy bit down below, and this is quite crowded, so I should probably put them in the ground after they flower next year, but that's going to make a fantastic display. So now finally I'm going to plant up my Wallflower Parrot tulips. I think I've got 10, so 5 per pot. And I'm going to use one of these green pots again. Just put some mix in the base. In you go, Wallflower Parrot. 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're just going to fill up the top. And that's one of my Wallflower Parrots planted up. I still have some more to do. The Alexander Pushkin 10 and another 5 Wallflower Parrot. But I'm going to put them in the same as that green pot there. I have 4 more of them there. So that's fine. I am going to stop videoing now because I need to make up some more mix in the wheelbarrow. I'm just out of that. And you get the idea. So hopefully now when you check back in spring, oh well, I hope you'll check back before spring, you will see lots and lots of beautiful pot displays of tulips and irises and wallflowers here at Douentza. Thanks as always for watching, and if you're interested in potting up tulips, my goodness, I've made so many videos about them. I will link up above to a playlist I have on tulips, and hopefully that'll help you out. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!